Tip of the day number 4. Limit worry and agitation by lessening the time you and your family spend watching or listening to media coverage that you perceive as upsetting. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311 Psychosocial Support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
I can't stay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Friday. We're heading on to the weekend. It is Friday, June 11th, 2021. And we have a lot to discuss. But before we do, as always, let me say good morning to those of you watching us on UTV. That's on Facebook. You can watch us on the different social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, like I said, YouTube, and all of the others that we're on. Also, you can watch us on channel 124 on Flow, that's UTV Underground Television, and of course you could be listening to us once you're logged in on our radio partner station, that is 92.1 and 91.1 FM. Thank you very, very much for joining us this morning. And before we begin, let me say, send some condolences out to the family of TJ in Daniel Riviere. I know that he was a fan of the show. I do want to send condolences to the family. That's, of course, to his wife, Miss Paimi, also to the children, Elisha, Melissa, and all the others. I know that this is a very, very trying time, and I hope that you have the strength to deal with that loss. So my condolences to you and your family. And for the rest of us, we've had to we continue to deal with a lot of corruption and the conflict of interest and people who will not take accountability for anything, and it continues, I think. So today we have to get into it, and it's the weekend, and you think maybe you just don't discuss any of the heavy things and you maybe enjoy the weekend. But no, there's no respite. There's none of that, because it's a never-ending saga with this administration and the corruption that we continue to face. So we will start where we have the leader of the opposition, and he said so many things, and it comes to pass, and people wonder, but no, I think when you understand the nature of people who do not love this country, do not care about us, and the decisions that they make, the policies that they enact, you can almost predict what is going to be done. And especially when you're seeing the documents and you have the facts, I think that too is an issue. So we're going to start here, right here.
I want to tell you a travesty of the United Workers' Party. In January 2016, when we were in government, the Ministry of Infrastructure wrote a letter to the Caribbean Development Bank on the 12th of January 2016. That letter was sent to the bank to replace all the lights, 21,500 of these high energy lights in the country. We wrote the letter to the bank, and we said to the bank, that is causing a drain on our resources. That is not helping our carbon footprint. That is causing the government $11 million a year to pay for these street lamps. And the president of the CDB recommended to the board of directors for a loan of US $11.6 million and a loan to Lucilec of $1.146 million and a grant to the government of US $30,000 from the Resources for Climate Action and Support of the CDB. The CDB said that that project was so good, it was such a well-conceived project, that they would waive some of the requirements. They said, instead of having us to fund 20%, they said they would fund 90% and we'd only have to fund 10% because of the quality of that project. But the CDB said that Lusilec will have to implement the project. Lusilec will have to implement the project. So you know, Lusilec implementing, that means government ministers not involved. Fresh start, there can't be no fresh start. There can't be any direct award. There can't be any friends and family. You know what these guys did? These guys cancelled the loan. They cancelled the loan with the CDB and they said that they will give the job to somebody in the private sector. You believe a government that is serious would cancel such a loan that would save the country 58% of $11.5 million per year. So wait and see, just wait and see who will get the contract to replace the lights in the country. The contract will be given to a friend, to family.
A charge on the consolidated fund must receive a parliamentary guarantee. On the basis of that letter, it is safe for me to say that it appears Guy is the whole of Parliament. Because if Guy Joseph can guarantee $167 million for a company that he intends to contract with, then he's the whole of Parliament. But let me tell you who Pajo is. Pajo is a local company that was formed in 2015. Good, you all see it there? Pajo's Limited, company number 2015C118. If a company needs a letter that is essentially addressed to anybody who has money to lend them, whether it's the Chinese, the Taiwanese, or even the devil, it means that that company is not worth a grain of salt. Folks, Pajo Limited, although having a letter to go around to source $167,400,000, Pajo share capital last year, when they file, its share capital c'est tout l'argent ini, was, you will not believe, $1,000. It's right there. You pass at the moment here. Share amount of stated capital. If you look at the third column on your screen from your left, amount of stated capital, $1,000. $1,000. But they are given a letter. They are given a letter to raise $167 million. Davis Max Joannes. Aren't you the brother of Bertram Joannes? Bertram Joannes, aren't you the one Used to work by Caribbean Metals. Oh, okay, I'm not sure. I'm asking. Bertram Johannes, are you not the one responsible for giving out contracts on behalf of Guy Joseph in both Castries South and Castries Southeast? Don't you control all those CDP projects? In fact, I even have a couple of contracts, Bertram Johannes, that persons, I have the documents. They said, you give them the contracts. So folks, Bertram Johannes, the brother of David Johannes, Mark Johannes, who's the registered director of Pajo Limited, is Guy's right-hand man. If I lie, say I lie. 167 million given to company. Company, Davis Max Johannes, Kenan Johannes. Davis Max is brother to Bertram Johannes. Bertram Johannes is Guy's right-hand man who gives all the CDP contracts in Castries South and Castries Southeast. Connect the dots.
Now, I think that is a good way to set it up so you understand what we're talking about. And for those still, you know, I think of my grandmother when, you know, we have some of these issues. So it's really, at first in 2016, there was to be a project, CDB funded. It would have clear-cut ways of how things would be done. And when you hear of the leader of the opposition speak, it was received very well. That project, the people at CDB really liked the way that it was. So they said instead of the 80% funding it, they would do 90, and then the government would do the other part. And they also said that Lucelec would be in charge of, you know, giving out the contracts. So you could see there would be little to no any sort of corruption, because everything would be clear-cut right out there. The central government doesn't have anything to do with it, so they are not in charge of who they're giving contracts or any of that. And much like what we know and what we've seen when this administration came in office, you know, just scrap everything that the former administration had because pettiness, if we're going to be quite honest. So laptops, everything, anything that they would ever, the administrative building in view for, just destroy all of it and find a way as to how you can make money for yourself. And I think it's a good place to start. So when we speak of the Pajoa company and knowing that their assets, their capital was $1,000, and they are the ones that we're looking at. So we're going to delve more into that, and I think we remember Guy Joseph and the Pajoa letter and him signing it, and we have to go back into it so we understand where we are at now. And to be quite honest with you, I think this discussion, we're going to have it like we do every day, every weekday at 11, but this one irks me in a different way. Like I'm done and I'm fed up, but we'll continue, and I hope to hear from you with everything that's going on here. So let's take a look at Guy Joseph and everything that's been going on. So let's take a look at that.
So proof of payment, then you enter into contractual agreement with the company. The government is also committed to repaying the loan of the 62 million once the projects are successfully completed. So if there's no project,
so that gets the money and completes the project, then
you are committed to pay.
Ma pe personne pour faire crime ba. Si moi pour faire crime, n'a fait crime moi-même.
Say, Lucia, so even when we speak of why is it that when this administration came into office that, you know, projects are cancelled and it is discontinued and it stopped, Why is that? And what I think about it, it's not just because of the pettiness. It's because of, you know, how the contracts are being given, how the due process that is there. They don't like that. Why would you? Why would you want to be honest when you have to give people certain contracts and you have to make for yourself? So you have to scrap it. Scrap syndrome, scrap tut bagay. Now, with the Pajoa letter, what you just see there, and I think he rightfully said, if you have to do his crime, and we see it too, that you're doing it yourself, you will sign it yourself. You'll pretend that you didn't do it yourself. You will do that. And when we think too of who owns Pajoa, the Max Bertram guy, who is the brother of Big Daddy, and that's the last time I will say that. I ain't calling nobody Big Daddy on this show or ever in my life. And I don't know how any other person, there are men walking around in Castries South calling someone Big Daddy. Y'all, please. Oh my God, I can't do that. But so when you look at it, the brother of this guy who's in charge of giving out contracts, and now he's the candidate for UWP. His brother is in charge of Pajoa. Pajoa, who had nothing but $1,000, is being signed. That's being signed by Guy Joseph, that for them instead to do the street lighting project. When it is asked, and I think rightfully so, I think there were other members of the media, myself included, asking questions like, who is Guy? Since when that's your role, Guy, for you to be signing anything on behalf of this government? You are not the Prime Minister, you are not the Finance Minister. That is not your role. What makes you believe that you could do that? And there was no answer. He tried to dodge the questions, not really admitting to anything. And you think too, since Guy is the Prime Minister's Prime Minister, and informally we know that the Prime Minister's Prime Minister is Guy, but we understand that there is due process. There are things that has to happen in a right way that we are not seeing, and we've known that. We've known that. So for the past 3 years, with the Pajoa letter and the Haxney operative saying, no, that's not true, that can never be true. Mili Akwiza. So let's listen to the Prime Minister, the actual one, for now at least, speak on the issue just a couple of months ago.
Well, alleged letter of comfort, which according to the minister, Mr. Joseph, he says it's a letter circulating in the media. I'm just, quoting him. And he seems to be brushing aside the fact that this is a serious matter for a couple of reasons. It commits the government, your government, to over $162 million. Also, there's a signature on that letter, and if that is the minister's signature, and if he didn't sign it, that means we're talking about forgery and so on. So it's a very, very serious matter. And I've heard the minister, and he's, in my opinion, basically, not, committing himself one way or the other to say whether this is genuine or not. So, as the Prime Minister, what do you have to say on this matter? Would you like to clear the air? Because in our opinion, well, in my opinion, I think Mr. Joseph has not really cleared the air on this particular issue, which is very, very serious.
So a couple of things. When I was asked about the question, first of all, I indicated that the projects that this letter was purporting to be funding are being done. The St. Jude's is being done funded by the Taiwanese, and also the police headquarters are also being funded either by Taiwanese or by NIC. Okay, so there is no other source of the monies. All right, so that letter is irrelevant in that regard. The second thing is that the way that the process works is if you want to be able to get funding from a government, that a ministry can go out and get a deal, but it has to come back to the Minister of Finance. It is analyzed by the Ministry of Finance. So if in fact it requires a direct award, there is an analytical part that goes in by whatever the implementing committee would be. So for instance, if it was construction, it would go to infrastructure and say, here is the project, here's what it's purporting to cost. Can you please give us an evaluation as to whether it's the right cost or not? Once that is done, and the Ministry of Finance now says, okay, we're going to support it, if in fact we're now going to borrow the money, then it has to go to Parliament for approval. So those are the only ways that monies can get committed. Or if in fact it's going to be a bolt agreement in which the developer is going to provide all of the funding for the project, the land would be on his name temporarily until the project is completed and paid for, and then it's handed back over to the state. So as I said, I thought when people came to me initially, it was to dismiss it by saying that I have no idea, I've never seen that letter. Okay, I know that with regards to St. Jude's and with the police headquarters, where the money is coming from. And in fact, we've gone, or going to the Parliament, I believe we've gone to Parliament, to borrow the money. So, ministries cannot commit the government to any funding. So this idea that there's a letter floating out there that somehow that somebody can translate into money, that's wrong.
So you're saying that a letter could be out there, even signed by the minister, but it doesn't mean that it binds the country to whatever is on that particular letter.
Well, I want to clarify that. It clearly cannot bind the country. When I spoke to the minister, he's indicated that there's no letter that he has in his office with his signature that pertains to that. And I'm satisfied with that, because also I know that it was his ministry that was driving the process. So his ministry was the one that negotiated with the Taiwanese on both of the other projects. So I'm a bit complex, because that's where we were going, and the source of the amount that we're paying for the project, which is a 5-year moratorium, 15 years to repay, plus a 3.5% or 1.5% plus LIBOR. That's very difficult terms for anybody to be able to compete with.
What about the other issue that if this is not was not signed by the minister, I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but just in case it was not signed by the minister, aren't you concerned that this could be a serious breach of national security? This is somebody has fraudulently signed the minister's name on a document.
It won't be the first.
So we see there the Prime Minister doing what he has to do, doing in the same way that we've seen him try to protect the people around him. When I look at that, you're tout bien joint, tout matek vole, akodi yourself kote po ale. They know where to go. So I think those were really good questions there being posed by Andre, and the Prime Minister said that he is complex. I think he meant perplexed, but you heard there that he's saying that he's satisfied with Guy Joseph and what Guy Joseph said, that he doesn't know anything about, there's no signature. There's a letter. That letter is really saying that give Pajoa this money, $168 million to do the street lighting, and it's being undersigned, it's being legitimized by Guy Joseph, and it's being signed there. But Guy and the Prime Minister there with Andre Paul is saying that is not the case. It's not a big deal. What is the real issue? There's no big issue. And even if you're saying that the signature on that letter was not Guy Joseph's, and Andre Paul was right. If it's not, then that means there's a forgery going on. There's some real, crime, white-collar crime going on. The Prime Minister's response to that, it wouldn't be the first. Because this is what we've put ourselves in there, and there will be the continued songs that will hear all of these things and continue to back this party, a Prime Minister who clearly doesn't care that there may be forgery, there might be something. If in fact Guy Joseph was telling the truth, which we know that could be unusual, is telling the truth, you're saying that it's not a big deal. But in the end, it is protect your people, and they always say, at least there's some honor among thieves, to protect each other. But I think it is sad. And even when I listen to Philip Pierre speak on the street lighting issues of global warming and making sure, being part of the world and the carbon footprint that you're trying to minimize and all these things, have you ever even heard anything of that sort coming from this administration? They do not care about any of these issues. It's really about making money and making sure your brother make and Guy's people make, and that sort of thing happens. But in the end, I think there's an old adage about, whatever is being hidden has to come to light. And Guy Joseph, he unwillingly maybe admitted that he did sign that letter.
I cannot verify where this letter came from. It bears my signature, as I see, of a picture of something on the internet. There's so much happening.
When I spoke to the minister, he's indicated that there's no letter that he has in his office with his signature that pertains to that.
Mr. Speaker, I am going to say again, I signed Pajo a letter. I am going to say again, I signed Pajo a letter. I signed Pajo a letter, but I didn't sign for a vehicle that was belonging to the state. I signed Pajo a letter.
Eklabitidio, they be your fair bagayo, as if, but you do it, look at what you're doing, so I can do mine too. That is not the case, Hinusha, and I miss a sort of governance where, you know, there's some kind of shame, there's some kind of truth. So you lying and saying that you don't know anything that come from the internet, you never see that before, and then you're saying that you're signing it. Zokai last mati and disrespecting St. Lucians. So the latest in all of that, and this is going on from 2018, 2019, 2020, and in 2021, it is being revealed, more documents are coming out, that Guy Joseph not only signed the letter, but there are repercussions to that. You will get the responses to you directly because of your signature on there, because of your involvement with Pajoa, because of you putting your hands, your name, your everything into that. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at where we are, the blatant corruption, the disrespect for St. Lucians. L'hôpital la pas fait. We don't even have beds, we don't have bandages, we don't have pills, we don't have nothing. But people are saying, give this man, give Pajoa that don't have no money from nowhere. They started off with $1,000. He's the brother to Bertrand, who's my Marco Court. Give him the money for me to do street lighting so he can do what he wants. Instead of when it was CDB, project, I think spearheaded by Dr. Jimmy Fletcher, where with CDB, you know, you understand where the money is going. You have to account for where it's going. Lucilec is in charge of giving the direction, the awards, the contracts, not the central government. They didn't want that. Why would you want that? Because you pass a bob all let's take a look.
Now, Andre Paul is right. Guy never admitted. Because on Rick Wayne, he said he saw the letter bearing his signature, and he went on to explain how easy it is to get someone's signature on a document through the computer. He went on to explain, he went at lengths to explain that. Well, folks, I can tell you, Guy Joseph lied through his teeth. He lied. The truth is, Pajoa used the letter, took the letter to a source in Trinidad, and attempted to raise the 62 million US. Yes, I lie. Magamati, no me bashas no. No, Magamati. Pajoa would give the letter to someone, you all will see, to approach the bank, for $62 million on behalf of the St. Lucian government. Let us show the letter Pajoa wrote to the Trinidadian agent. Good. Mr. Hazley Wong, Trinidad. You see, hold on. Pajoa's Limited. Mr. Maximus, what's his name? Maximilus Juarez. Okay. Telephone number. Dear Mr. Wong, kindly use this letter as confirmation from Pajoa's Limited in appointing you as our resource representative to source funding for the government of St. Lucia. Yes, you heard right. To source funding for the government of St. Lucia for the following projects costing 62 million United States dollars. 1, St. Jude Hospital, and 2, street lighting. We take this opportunity to thank you for your assistance and wish you every success in your future endeavors. Signed, Maximilus Joannes. So Pajoa, folks, is using the same letter that Guy said was circulated in the media and attempted to disassociate himself with. Pajoa is using it to try and get the $62 million. Metansa, when the bank responded to the request for the $62 million by Pajoa, rather than responding to Pajoa, guess who they responded to directly? No, not me. My name is not Guy Joseph. The bank responded directly to Guy Joseph. The same Guy Joseph who said he saw the letter circulated in the media. I lie? I lie? Let me show you the response from the bank that was emailed to Guy Joseph. It was sent from Answer Merchant Bank of Trinidad and Tobago to no other than the Honorable Guy Joseph. Put the bank's email response to Guy Joseph for me, please. Answer Merchant Bank. The Honorable February last year, the Honorable Guy Joseph, the same Guy Joseph who said he saw the letter circulated in the media. The Honorable Guy Joseph, Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, Finance Administrative Center, Point Seraphin Castries. Dear Honorable Minister Joseph, Pajo's Limited. We mama. The same Pajoa letter Guy did not know anything about. Answer Merchant Bank Limited is pleased to confirm its ability and willingness to assist our client, Pajoa Limited, with financing to meet its funding needs associated with the LED street lighting project in St. Lucia. Whoa, yo. We confirm that we are currently undergoing the evaluation process, which is at an advanced stage with a due view to providing a risk-approved financing offer. Please note that this letter does not constitute a binding offer of financing, and it is issued in the strictest of confidence. Pale Richard Frederick Oliwa. Trigger of confidence, Egmo Viva. For discussion purposes only. A binding commitment to provide financing is subject to the completion of negotiations regarding the terms and conditions of the financing package as well as the due diligence on the project. Please do not hesitate to contact the undersigned. Gregory Hill, Managing Director of Answer Merchant Bank Limited, written directly to Guy Joseph. But first, when you want to talk about bombshell, come and visit me. Directly to Guy Joseph. I now want to hear the excuses. Because he answered neither here nor there. He saw it circulated in the media. And Pajoa has a letter appointing a third party to source money on behalf of the government of this country. And the bank writes directly to Guy Joseph. Folks, what? I'm awaiting the rebuttal on this one. I am awaiting the rebuttal on this one. I await the rebuttal. How on earth, without parliamentary approval, can PAJOA be given authority to source funding on behalf of the government and people of this country? How can PAJOA appoint a third party to be what they said, the resource representative? The resource representative to source funding. What exactly is going on in this country, folks? When will this institutionalized corruption come to an end? When? When will it come to an end?
I don't know, but it has to be solutions to make that decision. I mean, in all of what we've seen there, if your blood is boiling, if people say, like, you know, 62 million US dollars, as if it's not anything. I do not understand where we get to be in that position where a minister will lie to us for years, and it's a letter. Now, in the letter that he signed, it says to whom it may concern. So PAJOA now can take that letter signed by Guy saying, you know, give the people the money, they'll do it. So they let's Guy give away money. So they bring it now to Trinidad to give them the money. And the Trinidad people don't even respond to PAJOA, they respond directly to Guy, because he that signs all the lies, all of the deceit. How was PAJOA, how were they even selected to be doing that? And I say, you know, the street lighting project, but it's also about St. Jude's. Why, when Guy, within days of him being sworn in, he stopped the works, right? Stop the works, say you have to use $1 million to audit. Depuis and PS results, PS audit. You know, maybe because, of course, you need PAJOA there to do St. Jude's piece. La St. Jude's. I am continually, we have 5 days of this show every week, and it's still not enough to deal with everything wrong with this administration and the corruption that we're seeing. The Prime Minister will defend and lie and weave and bob and do what he has to do to protect Guy Joseph, and Guy Joseph himself there for his own personal interest. Meanwhile, Zon Lotmoon say Hotla, they will come out on Facebook. And I wait in Nancy ek Nicole ek say Lotla Vini ek Mopek Bucket Vini netwaye. There is no defense to what we're seeing here. And what they'll say, the lazy sort of response of it's fake, it's not true. Nice space on. And more than that, which I think really the onus is on us. When you see things like that, when you hear things like that, what more do you need? Are you not angry enough yet? Are you not embarrassed enough yet that we're living in a country like that? We'll take your calls at 572-7588, you know already, and also via WhatsApp at 484-7588. But while we wait for your calls, let's take a look at what, you know, good governance is supposed to look like. Let's look at the next image there of what the CDB project, again, something that was spearheaded by Dr. Fletcher, what it was supposed to be, what it was supposed to be like. Now, in that one, it was supposed to be $26 million that was needed to do the street lighting project. And here we're seeing $168 million. That's in a lump sum. So we even know how much is for St. Jude's, how much is for the street lighting, because they're saying that PAJOA has to do both. So we see there, May 31st in 2016, it says CDB approved street lighting projects. It says that a project will replace 21,587 street lights throughout the island with high-efficiency LED lights. Inusha has received approval for 9.5 million LED street lighting project that will replace all street lights on the island with energy-efficient ones. The project, the first of its kind in the Caribbean, will involve the replacement of 21,587 high-pressure sodium and mercury vapor street lights with high-efficiency light-emitting diode, right, LED street lights. Currently, the government of St. Lucia spends over $11 million annually to illuminate the island's roadways. This expenditure represents over 1/3 of government's total annual expedition on electricity. It is anticipated that after replacement, government's annual savings will be approximately 60%, or a little over $6 million that you can save, that we would have saved had we done that. Therefore, government would have fulfilled its promise to reduce government expenditure on electricity by 20% in the public service well before the 2020 target via the LED street lighting project alone. So I remember to St. Lucia's Energy Minister, Honorable Dr. James Fletcher, conceptualized the initiative and approached the CDB for financial support. I remember then, even then, you can take it down now. So just so that we are reminded of what it looked like, what it felt like, what it sounds like to have good governance, to have people who actually care about certain principles, like, you know, you're part of the world, global warming and everything else, and reducing carbon footprints. And Guy Joseph now, you want to come and call, Monsieur, I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how that will happen. That the people who have stolen from this country, the people who are criminals, and yet speak of not being interviewed by ex-cons, looking to have police arrest a grieving man and his wife, looking for all sort of things. Like, your plea way. They're involved in more criminality, and the worst kind. And you will see them smirk, and you will see them smile, and people will still give them some sort of attention, some sort of favor. I think it will tell us who we are as a people, what we do here, and what the elections, what the results will say about us. Are we corrupt ourselves? It's right there in our faces, and we cannot, or will we do anything about it? It's really, really sad. $168 million. Maximilius, whatever, Bertram, the brother of that guy in Castries South. And it's allowed to go because the Friends Family Foreigner thing, you'd have to look for who has it and who can get it and whether you can get it yourself. Miyokai Vini, and they will try to threaten people with, you know, legal action and all of that. You know, they're quick to do that. But St. Lucians, I think, and I really have faith that we understand what's right here and what's wrong. And this is more than wrong, it is criminal. It is criminal when you have people, especially in the hospitals. I am a talk show host, and I get, you know, a few calls of people saying that they need help and what they, you know, what they need help with, and the experiences at their homes and the assistance that they need. People that you vote in to represent you in your constituency, in your community, knowing your plight, knowing what you need, you're calling them, you are working yet, you trying to, you know, have a hustle, you trying to go and visit your family members in the hospital, and you can't pay for all of the medication. In fact, they have no medication because they can't source it in the hospitals. And these people that you call begging and asking for assistance, this is what they're doing with the money that you give. This is what they're doing. I think it's really, really sad. I think, do we have a problem with the phone lines? Do we have a call? I think we have a call. Okay, so like I said, you guys can call at 572-7588 and also at 484-7588. You know what? We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
I can't stay.
Protocols for international visitors while in St. Lucia. The following protocols are established to guide the stay of all guests while on island in order to mitigate any possible spread of infection. During the first 14 days, visitors are allowed to patronize approved beaches, restaurant, sea and land excursions, and sites and attractions. All visits are scheduled and pre-arranged by their respective accommodation providers. During this period, all visitors will be transported to and from the certified sites using only COVID-19 certified tourism transportation. After the first 14 days, if any visitor wishes to stay on island beyond the 14-day period, they must apply for and receive a health clearance certificate from the Ministry of Health. Visitors will be allowed to travel, be out in the wider public and patronize local businesses unsupervised once health clearance certificates have been received. During their entire stay, visitors must wear their masks whenever they are in public places and maintain the mandatory 6 feet distancing from others.
We can win this war. Get vaccinated. We're taking our life back. Get vaccinated.
Nou ka mene vaksin lan kont COVID-19 an komi nou. Si ou pon vaksin lan, ou pe pa atwape kor ou tan malade ke si ou pa pon. E ki jis sa bese asou ka COVID-19. Pon vaksin lan pou la vi set lisi viye normal anko. Visite page Facebook pou Bureau Edukasyon Santé ek Ministre pou Santé pou sab ki jou vaksin lan kanyan komi nou. An nou ede mene set lisi normal anko. Pon vaksin lan, ale vaksine.
Vaccinated.
Komisyon sa la sorti hot Bureau Edukasyon Santé ek Ministre pou Santé.
How I make you just a cock it up, back it up, fling it up on me so. Heaven in your waistline when you make it roll. Girl I road tell me say them a bit too, but none of them no have it like you. When it come to whining skill, girl you know you are the baddest. Them a dancehall queen, but you a dancehall goddess. Then girl I road really need little practice, but everything I need, girl you have it. I use a professional bumper roller, qualified waistline controller. You a bubbling general, them they just a bubbling soldier. Use a professional bumper roller, qualified waistline controller. If them girl they a bubbling boss, you a bubbling CEO. Yeah, I work 7 days straight feet. All I hope and pray feet. And if them
I can't stay.
Welcome back. Like I said, let's just continue right off. Let's start to take your calls. I think the landline has an issue, so we are taking your calls via WhatsApp at 484-572-7588. Let's take that call. Good morning.
Good morning, Tresha.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you're doing a very good job. And you made a point earlier on about what this election is about. I think I made that point earlier and I'm going to make it again. This election, people making it about as though it's Alan Chastney or Philip JP and so on. To me, this election is about us as St. Lucians, our value. It's about the electorate. The contrast is so clear. It will tell us how corrupt we are as a people, and it will tell us the values we stand for as a people. That's what it's about. These elections, I feel that people should push that the people of St. Lucia have to do some serious introspection. We cannot continue to blame politicians for what's going on in this country. We have to take our civic responsibility. And that's why we are failing. We are failing in taking our civic responsibility in having government work for us. And it's a test. It's a test. Remember the Prime Minister say, back in dogs, it will tell us how much pride. As my father used to say, some people, we have to understand. Chastney was saying, back in dogs. She any low gay, you know. Dogs, they have pride. You only low gay. You tell us shame mash, you put it tail, it have shame and it going. But some of those politicians, she any low gay you. So we have to take stock of ourselves. Because some of our people are just shameless to support that kind of thing. We are shameless. So it's a reflection on us. We cannot, we keep saying, oh, all politicians, they do that. No, if politicians are corrupt, it means the population is corrupt. The majority are corrupt. So it will tell us.
It will. It
Okay,
will.
for those who were naive into believing those guys were interested in running the country, the contrast is clear. It's very clear to me. You know, I look at the policies of Philip Pierre, what he's proposing, and so on and so on, but it's not even about that for me. Because once you start lying, on mentait sans voler, on volait sans mentait. Now we have a prime minister who's a pathological liar. Now that alone has made my decision. So many times he lied and deceived the country. This alone, I don't do nothing else but that. You cannot run a government on lies and deceit. And that's a basic principle. It will decide the values of our people. Thank you, Trisha.
Very well said, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. And I agree with you, and I like that analogy with the dogs and shame and all of that. And it also is for us too. You know, you're right about what do we think, what are we worth? Is this the kind of representation we need? Guy Joseph lied for 3 years. What more? What more do you need? And these people attack you vole, you probably moon pu buy, you probably ish, you probably just vole, just put force vole any till. Vole point any till. I just, and you know what? As we're going on to the weekend, I think it will give us something to think about. When you're struggling, and for some of you over the weekend, that's when it's the most difficult because the children are there now and you have to find a way to cook. You can't do the mac and cheese and you can't do the fake salad on Sunday. You can't do none of them things. Think about it. Think about the millions that these people have and how they're comfortable and they want to come and disrespect you over the weekend there. I think, you know, when you think about the weekend, it always has to do something about fun. But that will be in my head all day thinking that that's how these people are treating us. Let's take the other call. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on here?
Maro and Lucia.
Yeah?
Trisha, I wonder how does people feel when they have their children or family, somebody lying, thieving from them, making all kinds of claims upon them. How would they feel for that family member? I wonder how would they react to see that somebody is ripping off the family's assets, the family's bank, or even their children. For St. Lucia to be going through such a thing like that, women we did Satan something real bad, and Satan really punishing us. Because we cannot be living in an island or country for that kind of thing, and people see nothing wrong whatsoever. Well, sensible people might have seen, but for us, anybody who is supporting the United Workers' Party, not to see anything wrong with the kind of corruption, the kind of rip-off that this UWP government is doing to the country. Something you denied, something you well, he was neither here nor there, but he did accept it in the House, that he said, well, yeah, I signed Pajo a letter.
Only after he denied it, though.
And hunt you. And then you'll have people defending that kind of behavior, defending that kind of attitude, that kind of corruption. My God. And we call ourselves a Christian nation. A Christian nation. Something is really wrong with us. We really, really need some kind of repentance, because Satan really got banuku. And I think it is time that the government take the people of that thing. I find the Prime Minister, who has the sole right and responsibility right now to call the elections, and tell the people, look, if you really want me back, I'll be back. If you don't want me, well, so be it. Vote me out. I think it's time for him to release the nation of that thing.
Thank you very much, caller. I appreciate your contribution. Let's take the other. Good morning.
Good morning, Tresha.
Good morning, sir.
Tresha, that caller was so on point. And that's exactly, what I call to say really. Because, Tresha, we raise children, those of us who have kids. We raised our kids, and our own parents raised us to speak the truth. Pamati, to do what is right, Fais ça qui bon, pas fais ça qui pas bon. And yet, here we are, Tresha. So many of us prepared to support criminal behavior on the part of people we elected into office to represent us. On the part of people who took an oath to represent our best interest. And we can see that those people are not representing our best interest. We can see that those people are so steeped, so mired in corruption, in bubble, in criminal behavior. We can see that. And yet we're prepared to support that criminal behavior. I mean, Tresha, how can we in all good conscience say to our children, this is not right, you ought not to be doing this, that is wrong, you ought not to be doing that, or you should not have done that. And yet we're saying to other people, whether by our action or our inaction, whether by our words or our silence, that what the United Workers' Party government is doing is okay. It's all right, because we're still prepared to support them. We're still prepared to vote people like Guy Joseph and Alan Chasney back into office. I mean, are we serious? Are those people real? I mean, are we talking about the same people who said or say to their children in raising them, look, here is what is right, here is what is wrong, and this is the path that you must follow in terms of right and wrong, and yet you're prepared to support criminal behavior on the part of people we elected into office to do the right things? Tresha, like your last caller said, something must be wrong with us.
Because I agree with you, caller, because any other place that this happens, you know, the minister, there would have to be some resignation, something has to happen. You know, but what will happen when everybody in cahoots took Munsia Samuel?
And not just resignation, even legal action.
Agreed.
Legal action, those people would have to face the courts. Anyway, thanks, Tresha.
Thank you, caller. Let's take our last call, I think. Good morning, good afternoon.
Hey, Tresha.
Yes.
I like to identify myself because that's Frank here.
Okay.
Tresha, if you take a walk and go around the stores and the supermarkets and small businesses, and even in government businesses, and find out how the percentage that are in these businesses on pilferage, it will tell you what kind of people we are. I remember, God bless his soul, Nigel Mitchell, when I did the course in the tourism course. He was one of the tutors there. And he was saying that St. Lucia has the highest rate in pilferage in the Caribbean. And that is why a lot of people were scared to do business in St. Lucia. So it tells you that the kind of people we are. So all along, we have had very dishonest people in our country. And what have happened of late? The Alan Chasney administration, which a lot of us were looking, there were certain people we were looking up to and believed that they were ethical, have been exposed because they are part and parcel of what is happening here. So I found myself battling with Tresha, whether if I see this man is robbing, stealing from ex-businessman, whether I should report this crime. I'm battling. You know why? Because this businessman have sat down there for 5 years and have not said nothing to defend the people of St. Lucia. So I find myself with my conscience beating me and killing me every day. Is the right thing to do, Tresha. You may tell me it's not the right thing to do. But I'm saying that with a heavy heart, Tresha. Where our country has come, what we have become. And we know them in the what's the name of the organization they have? The Chamber of Commerce. These people have feet that Alan Shastney takes $500, committed $500 per month to every employer at the Ojo Labs. But I've not seen it fit that Alan Shastney to do the same for other small businesses in St. Lucia. As a matter of fact, with Philip J. proposal of paying CXC and facility fees once in a year for every student, they've been asking where the money is coming from. And whereas the $500 per month for every person that works at OG Labs will cost more than the once a year for the students of CXC and the what are the fees again? The facility fees. So you see where we are, and you want me, and I should see this guy enter in your business. You sit there and say nothing. Put my life at risk and say to you, I saw him. When you are not defending us. Trisha, it is hard for me. I'm battling that every day, and I'm asking myself questions every day. Is it the right thing to do? And maybe you might have to answer me on your show some other time. I don't know.
Maybe another
but
time.
Somebody, I need help.
Okay.
Because I'm a nationalist. I want to live by the books on the country, and I believe I'm supposed to allow the right things to happen. But I found myself with my conscience hitting me there.
Thank you very much, caller. And I hope as you continue to, I don't know, think about it, you come to an answer soon. I think we have come to the end of this show, but before we do, I want us, even as we continue to speak about where we are as a country and as a people, let us not forget the real issue here. That Guy Joseph lied, that we are seeing him not follow any kind of due process. He is not, there is no parliamentary approval for what he's doing. He is not the government. He is not the Minister of Finance. He's not the Prime Minister. That's not his role. He has no basis in doing what he has done there. And also when you have banks now responding to him for, you know, being able to give $168 million to Pajoa, a company that started off with nothing, $1,000, and now they can receive $168 million on our head, in our name, and the Guy Joseph that sent him. It is wrong. It cannot happen. And even as we continue to speak about the country and where we are as a people, yes, we also need to have the intellectual, whatever, conversations, but let's stick with the issue. Guy Joseph Salmate and the corruption that we're seeing, whether we're going to allow it to continue. And that is why if people decide to take their pans and do what they do in Lautan bagay ko, ako di pan pa amem fe ase desod. Pan even making enough noise for what these people doing to us. And that is why as we go on into the weekend, and you have to keep these things in your mind, that there is Pan City, and you people will be out there. I encourage people in the area, Castries, to come out in any way that they can at around 4. I think the time is 4, and beat Pan for 1 minute. And if you can have a video, send it to me or to Christopher. Christopher's number is 519-1818. Mine is 460-3054. Because if in all of this you can't say nothing, you know you're in a state of emergency, you Pablo Pali, you can't wait till we need to find creative ways in showing these people our displeasure and our frustration. This cannot continue. So this weekend we're doing it again in the way that we know how. And until, you know, we can, and they call it, call it, Alan, call it. That's it for me. I want to thank all of you for watching this week, the discussions that we're having. As we always say, we're going to do it in the most honest way that we can, and I hope to see you Monday, God willing, where we continue to discuss it more. But until then, please be safe and have a good one.
Flambeau, flambeau, must go. The boy like a pretend no buy tea, yo. Flambeau, flambeau, must go. Me say salam go and be able go. Flambeau, flambeau, must go. The same way he come, we will make him go. Flambeau, flambeau, must go. The P.O. the 2 by 2 say bo. 10 reasons why the flabo must go. Yo do boot step ek pile pie yo. Zé male waving play epi glow. That guy giving contract go low. So I hear Roger gwa epi go. Oubliye le popa même tak no show. Fire nice body wile yo. Hadan yo sweet passe a gombo. Saint Lucia mwen do di yo go. Flabo, flabo must go. Ti boy like a pretend no bite yo. Flabo, flabo must go. We say salamim go a vie bobo. Flabo, flabo must go. The same way he come we will make him go. Flabo, flabo must go. Lay your tree the gas for ho. Is a siye papier pour menen low. Gas biye l'argent nou kosa yo. Ek di yo ka make economy grow. Tout ghetto bagay ka fini show. Isam yo vini pou plein poche yo. Hey, tell them go. Flabo, flabo must go. Ti boy like a pretend no bite yo. Flabo, flabo must go. Mi say salamem go a vie bobo. Flabo, flabo must go. The same way he come we will make him go. Flabo, flabo must go. Ki gen ki an sa yo do boot laptop. Le mwen gade mwen di sa se trop. L'argent tax nou ni bal da ska jok. Mwen jik tan gel genye rubbish truck. Ek fwe guy di my brother corrupt. Flabo, flabo must go. Ti boy like a pretend no bite yo. Flabo, flabo must go. Mi say salamem go a vie bobo. Flabo, flabo must go. The same way he come we will make him go. Flabo, flabo must go. Depuis yo a tout partout c'est beau. Garçon moi, maga si bote mettre garçon. Maga si bote mettre, même gaspiller l'argent nous top. Oui, si c'est pas Covid, nous pas payer à vide. Hey, papa. Ah, papa. Yo pas veille about nous. J'adore your concern about. Monsieur ka fait go anti boy just buy toys. In the colonization de near conscious. Lui m'a dit pièce conscious hein. Moi ça fait une décision. Maga bote c'est ça là encore.
I can't